Sympathetic system. The sympathetic system is a part of the autonomic division of the PNS. Sympathetic system is a part of autonomic division of the PNS. That is the peripheral nervous system. This sympathetic system, it leaves the spinal cord at the level of T1 to L2 vertebral levels. T1 is thoracic vertebra 1 and the lumbar vertebra 2. They leave at the thoracolumbar region. Thoracolumbar region. They contain the somatic components of the spinal nerves, and on each side we have these trunks, these structures called as trunks. These trunks are called as the paravertebral trunks. Paravertebral trunks. They are on each side of the spinal cord and so on. These paravertebral trunks, they originate at the base of the skull and they descend anteriorly at the coccyx. Here we have coccyx, and the point of meeting of both the trunks is at a ganglion that is anterior to coccyx, and that ganglion is known as ganglion impar. Ganglion impar. Each trunk, it is attached to the anterior rami of the spinal nerves. Each trunk is attached to the anterior rami of spinal nerves. So the connections you see here with the trunk, these are actually anterior rami. The connections that you see here with the trunks are made through anterior rami. Now we will discuss this structure in a bit of detail. This right here is a T10 spinal segment. Right. So this right here, as we discussed earlier, is the posterior root. These are the posterior roots of the spinal nerves, and they further give off a posterior rami, a posterior ramus. Ramus means a branch, and when it's singular we call it ramus, when it's plural we call it rami. So this is a posterior ramus right here, and so this goes the posterior ramus here as well, and right here we have our anterior roots. These are the anterior roots of the spinal nerves. They connect right here. These are the anterior roots that are connecting to the spinal nerves right here. As we discussed right now, that the trunks, they're connected to these segments to the anterior roots. So the anterior root is being connected to this paravertebral trunk right here. As you can see, it has been connected to the segment, this vertebral segment. These are the anterior roots that are connecting the paravertebral trunk. This is a part of the paravertebral trunk where synapse occurs in the trunk, and they're connected. These trunks are connected to the anterior roots through certain structures, which we're going to discuss right now in a few minutes. So right here you can see that the trunks, they are connected to the anterior roots of the spinal nerves like this, and on and on and on, and they move on like that. These are the paravertebral trunks which we'll be seeing across the vertebrae, extending from the brain, till the ganglion impar. We'll label the structures to make it easier for you. This is the posterior ramus. Posterior ramus. Ramus means a branch. And this is a posterior root. So you see there is a difference between root and ramus. Posterior root and posterior ramus, that's a branch. And right here, this is the same as the posterior root. This also is a posterior ramus. Posterior ramus. And right over here, this is the anterior ramus. This is the pattern how the trunks are connected, how it moves from the top to the bottom along the vertebral column. There's one trunk on each side of the vertebral column, and that is the reason we call it a paravertebral trunk. This is the paravertebral trunk. These trunks, they act as roots for sympathetics that go on and innervate the viscera and the periphery. As you can see in the diagram, these trunks, they carry visceral motor preganglionic fibers. The fibers they carry are visceral motor preganglionic fibers. Preganglionic fibers. These fibers, they leave the anterior roots. And they join the spinal nerve right here. So we'll mark a dotted path of these fibers right here. They are leaving the anterior roots. They join the spinal nerve right here. They join the spinal nerve, and these fibers travel in the anterior ramus, and they leave the structure of the anterior ramus right here and enter the paravertebral trunk. Is also called as paravertebral sympathetic trunk. This is how these fibers travel, the preganglionic fibers. This is how they travel into the sympathetic trunk. In this trunk, in the paravertebral trunk, we have segmentally arranged numerous ganglions. So this is the trunk and this is a ganglion where this pre-ganglionic fibers, they synapse with post-ganglionic fibers. These are the pre-ganglionic visceral motor fibers that are coming through the anterior ramus right here, and they enter the paravertebral trunk here and they synapse in the ganglion. They synapse with post-ganglionic fibers. Now we're going to discuss how do these fibers travel from the anterior ramus to the paravertebral trunk.